Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and welcome to a special Thursday episode of The Lions Grid. The Buffalo Bills will be taking on the Detroit Lions later on today at Ford Field. So we are here and we are talking some football. That game is being played at 12:30 p.m. It's kickoff time, and so before that happens, let's talk a little bit about this game in today's matchup. Certainly, I believe this is going to be the Lions' toughest test on the season. The Bills currently sitting at 7-3, atop the AFC East, I believe, or not, I believe they're just below the Dolphins. So I think the Dolphins are number one in the AFC East. The Bills are number two. Both teams are 7-3. The AFC East is one of the only two divisions in the NFL that has all of their teams with winning records. So you have the Patriots and the Jets both at 6-4, the Bills and the Dolphins both at 7-3. So these teams have been really good so far this season. And you look at the Bills. You got Josh Allen, the defense, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. The running game hasn't been too impressive out of the Bills, but everything else, certainly a very dangerous team coming into Ford Field today, and should be a really good test for this Lions team, who is on a three-game winning streak. It'll be good to see if that is more of if this three because the wins are against the Bears, the Packers, and the Giants. It's going to be interesting to see if they can somehow sneak a win here on Thanksgiving, as they are the underdogs in this matchup with the Bills. I think that would speak a lot to the Lions and say that this three-game winning streak has been more about them than the people they've played. Because unfortunately, you look at those three opponents. The Giants are I think the exception there. They do have a 7-3 record themselves, but they have a ton of injuries. Which they had six, I think it was six starters leave in that game against the Lions. So they're trending the wrong way with the injury bug. Uh, but that being said, it was still an impressive win against the Giants. They played well there. But I think somehow being able to beat the Bills today on Thanksgiving, uh, not only would that give them a four-game winning streak, but that would really say, hey, to the rest of the NFL, you really need to start taking note of the Lions. Um, that being said, I do think the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. I would be surprised if they drop this game to the Lions. Like I said, the NFC or the AFC East is very tight right now. It's a very tight race. The Bills are definitely a team I expect to see in the postseason, whereas the Lions, yes, with this three-game winning streak, they've certainly opened themselves back up to an opportunity of potentially being in the NFC branch of the playoffs. But I don't think that's a sure thing or a guarantee at all. So I would expect the Bills, who are a team who certainly has expectations to be not only in the playoff hunt, but being one of the teams that could potentially win the AFC. I expect them to handle business as they are favored against the Lions here on Thanksgiving. But let's talk about how the Lions may be able to get that victory. And a lot of it is going to be doing what they've been doing over the last few weeks. And what have the Lions been doing really well? They have been forcing a ton of turnovers. They have a +7 turnover differential over the last three games. They have forced 8 turnovers and only had one of their own. And when you take a look at, say, the Philadelphia Eagles, when they were started off the season at, was it 7-0, 8-0? The reason they were able to do that is because they had a huge turnover differential. That was a big thing that factored into it. If you are limiting your own mistakes and forcing the other team to give you the ball in favorable situations, it's going to pay off. So, the Lions defense, we talked about it earlier this season. I definitely think they are going to look to add some more talent to this roster on the defensive side of the football, specifically this offseason. But one of the differences between the games they were losing earlier this season and this three-game winning streak they're on now is the fact that they have that +7 turnover differential. So as they're playing the Buffalo Bills today, it's going to be important to see, can they do that? Can they continue to take care of the ball themselves while force Josh Allen and this Buffalo Bills team into some sticky situations? And the good news for the Lions is Josh Allen has been a little bit of a turnover machine. He has 13 total turnovers on the season, um, 10 interceptions, 3 fumbles lost. He is a guy who is very much willing to take a chance or two. He almost has a little bit of that gunslinger mentality. Uh, you know, uh, it used to be a more favorable comparison to compare somebody to Brett Favre. Now with all the things going around him, less so. But he's a guy who's willing to take chances to try and make plays and help his team out. And so, with that being the case, I think there is an opportunity for this Lions defense that has been forcing a lot of turnovers to take advantage of a player who has, I wouldn't say he's been careless with the football, but he's a player who is again willing to take chances. So you have a quarterback that is willing to give you opportunities to cause turnovers. The Lions just need to continue to take advantage of that, and that'll really, I think, help give them a chance in the game against the Bills if they can do that successfully. I think that's going to be key. And then the other thing their defense has been doing really well is bending and not breaking. Forcing the turnovers is a big part of that. But the Lions have actually been outgained on offense by 308 yards over the last 3 weeks total in total yards. The Lions have 902 yards. Their opponents have over 1,210 in these last 3 games. So the defense isn't necessarily like they're still giving up a ton of yardage. They're just not giving up points because they're forcing turnovers. They're holding teams to field goals. Um, those are the types of things where the defense, like I said, isn't necessarily better. They're just the drives are resulting in better outcomes for the Lions, which is something if they can continue to maintain here against the Buffalo Bills, if they can hold them to field goals, if they can force them to turn the ball over, that'll give Jared Goff and this Detroit Lions offense a chance to do what they do, and get out of potentially sneak a win here and extend that winning streak to 4 games. So that's sort of the recipe I see. It's really going to come down to what the defense can do. Can they cause turnovers? Can they limit the damage to field goals, and really not give up a ton of touchdowns? If the defense can do that, and put the Lions offense in favorable positions, and give them a chance to score touchdowns, give Jamal Williams a chance to run some more touchdowns in. Um, I think you could put that's the recipe where you could see a Detroit Lions victory. Now, like I said, I'm going with the Buffalo Bills in this game. Going with the Bills just because, like I said, the Bills are a team that I expect not only to make the playoffs for the AFC, but a team that I expect to potentially, be challenging for, that AFC championship. So for the Lions, yes, they've done a great job these last 3 weeks. That win against the Giants last week was impressive, even though, like I said, the Giants are kind of hit by the injury bug at the moment. But if they can come out here and they have to prove it to me, right? Like they have to show me that they can beat the Bills. If they can follow that recipe that I sort of mentioned there about forcing turnovers, limiting the damage to field goals by the Bills offense, the opportunities there. I just don't necessarily, I'm not guaranteeing the Lions will be able to do that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens today. Again, I think if you'd asked me a few weeks ago before the winning streak started, I definitely would have thought that the Bills were going to just blow the Lions out of the water. That this would be a little bit of a snoozer game, but right now, I'm feeling at least pretty confident that this should be a fairly entertaining game in that early slot here on Thanksgiving. So, yeah, if you're headed down to Ford Field, I think you're going to be in for a treat for a good game. I have heard that they are expecting this to be the most attended Lions home game, the second most attended Lions home game in Ford Field history. So, if you are headed down to Detroit for the game, you might want to get down there early. Make sure you're staying safe. But yeah, it should be a good game for those there, and then for those of us watching the game on TV, should be some good early entertainment uh, as we start to get ready to put some turkey in our bellies. So uh, again, this has been the Lions Grid. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. We are coming to you live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. If you want to stay up to date with the Lions Grid, make sure you search for us on those platforms. Like us, follow us, share our content. best way to keep up to date and help the channel grow. And we definitely appreciate your support. Um, like I said, I'm going with the Bills in this game. I think they're definitely the betting favorites. I think if you are someone who's followed football, they are certainly the favorites headed into this game. But like I said, there is there's a path to victory for the Lions. We'll have to see if they can follow that. Um, but certainly looking forward to what should be a pretty good game here to kick off our Thanksgiving. So this has been the post game, or sorry, the pregame episode of the Lions Grid, and we'll come back to you tomorrow as we take a look at the recap of what happens here today. So we'll say go Lions. Catch you during the next episode of the Lions Grid. I'm Kevin Marhine. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.